Hello, and welcome to Talk to Downtown. My name is Courtney Wood. I'm the Economic Development Director for the Downtown Stockton Alliance, the 501c6 nonprofit property-based business improvement district serving downtown Stockton. This webinar series is intended to connect our business owners, property owners, visitors, and residents with the organizations, people, and resources who can help address issues which are of top concern to them. Today, we have special guest, Tony Yadon. He is the Executive Director for Parents by Choice, one of our downtown nonprofits. We'll begin by having Tony share a little bit about himself and his role at Parents by Choice. Then I will go ahead and ask him a list of questions that I've outlined for him. And at the end, we will open it up for viewer questions. So if you have any questions for Tony, please type them in as a comment, and we will get to them towards the end of the live. And with that, welcome, Tony. Thank you so much for being our guest today. I'm excited to talk with you and for you to share all about what you do with your amazing organization. Please share a little bit about your background and your role at Parents by Choice.
Well, thank you, Courtney. It's great to be here. It's great to be downtown. So my background a little bit, I am the Executive Director of Parents by Choice. It's an organization that I founded in 2006 here in Stockton. And, my background is I'm the son of a minister. So we moved all over the United States, ending up in Stockton when I was in high school. And so I've been in Stockton since I was in high school. And one of my first jobs that I had, I think it was actually my second or third job, was in downtown at a bank. And with that job, I fell in love with downtown. It's always had kind of a romantic connection to me. I just love the architecture, the buildings, just all the things that downtown offers. And so when we, Parents by Choice, were able to move downtown in 2020, it was just really an exciting experience. And we've loved being here, and we love the connection with the Downtown Alliance. So thanks for having me on the webinar today.
Of course, we're happy to have you, and happy to have you in downtown. So for you, it's kind of like coming home a little bit in a way.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Like I said, I actually worked at a bank. It was at 400 East Main Street. It was back when it was American Savings Bank. So I worked there when I was 19, 20, long time ago, and would walk downtown and go into, the little shops and the restaurants and stuff when I was on my breaks. And like I said, just really loved it. Loved the experience of being there. So yeah, it was great coming back.
Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about the vision and mission of Parents by Choice, your organization?
Sure. So Parents by Choice is a nonprofit organization. Like I said, it was founded in 2006. The official mission of the organization is to bring hope and healing to children, youth, and families. We originally started as a organization that was wholly dedicated to foster youth, to providing homes for youth in foster care. And part of that is I founded the organization with a background as a social worker. That's what my education and my experience was. And really, that's what I knew was that work. And so the first program that we ever had was finding families for youth in foster care. And so that's still the primary function of what we do. That's still really the core of what we do. But we have a lot of services that are now kind of arrayed around that original function. So we not only provide homes for youth in foster care, we provide transitional housing for youth who are exiting foster care and need a home to live, need a place to live. We have mental health services. We do parenting education for families, that just anyone in the community. It's really a program that is designed to prevent child abuse and to keep children out of foster care. So we offer those free to the community. We do a lot of things like I mentioned our transitional housing. We have services that we do for youth who are looking for jobs. We have employment services. We have just all kinds of things that are kind of all arrayed around helping children and youth really get the start in life that they deserve. So and it's been kind of interesting, because I said we started with one program, and it anytime you just have one tool or one program or just kind of one focus, you're always going to run up against a problem that your one tool doesn't solve. And so that's really kind of the personality of our agency is whenever we've hit our head against a problem that we couldn't solve with existing services, then it becomes kind of a conversation about, okay, well, how can we solve this? What can we do? How can we kind of get over this hurdle? And so from conversations like those, we have developed the different programs that we have. And now, it's something that both myself and our staff are just really proud of, the work that we do with children and youth, especially, and just kind of the opportunities that we provide youth in helping them get that start in life that they deserve.
Amazing. And I love that your mission has the word hope. I love that you have that as a component of what you do. That's so important. So you have many programs that you've developed over time, based upon the one that you started with, the seed that you planted at the beginning. What challenges do you see the most that our youth are facing, that foster youth, foster children are facing? And how are these programs really helping to address those challenges?
Yeah. One, I think, our experience has been with youth who have experienced significant trauma. And so, it's maybe what we see as challenges that youth face are not something that maybe someone who's watching or listening would recognize as because it's maybe not every youth in the population, but we're talking about youth who have experienced significant trauma in their life. And the biggest challenge that I have seen youth face is when it comes to relationships. We have youth who have been separated from their most significant relationships in their life, their biological family, or there's someone who has experienced maybe multiple homes while they've been in the foster care system, and so they've experienced that loss of those relationships. And that's not something that human beings are wired to have to experience, especially at such a young age. And so it's not possible to overstate the problem that creates, or the challenge that creates in a young life as they're going out into the world. And the world that they're looking at is a much different world than maybe I was looking at the age of 17 or 18. With a foundation of strong relationships and people around me who supported me and loved me. So, it's something that there's a motivational speaker. I think about what he says a lot. He's a former foster youth. His name is Josh Shipp. And he said that every youth is one caring adult away from being a success story. And that says it really well, because that really demonstrates just how powerful those positive relationships can be in a young person's life when, regardless of the road they've walked or the things that they've experienced, how one person stepping into their life as a caring adult can really make the difference. And so really, certainly we as an agency with professionals and so forth, we try to be those caring adults, but ultimately it's someone who steps in that role of a parent or a caregiver that really makes that difference.
Wow. Just having one person that they know cares about them no matter what can make a huge difference. That's
Absolutely.
amazing. So kind of transitioning into your work with these youth, can you tell us specifically about the foster youth programs that you have available?
Absolutely. So we are licensed as a foster family agency through the state of California, and that means that we have the ability to take a family who is interested in becoming a foster parent and take them through the whole training process and approval process so that they can serve youth in need. And when we talk about a family, it can be a family of one. It can be a family of two. It could be a family with a dog, without a dog. I mean, family is a very broad and general term. Essentially, it's a family who is ready and willing to serve youth. And what we like to say to families is if you have the desire to serve youth in need, we can help support you. We can help get you there. A lot of times families come to us and they have a lot of questions about, I rent a home, I don't own a home, or I may have had this issue in my background, or I already have kids, am I still able to, or I don't have kids, all those questions that we deal with those every day. And so we try to really assure families that bring us those questions. We've heard them before. We can help you walk through them. We have professionals and very experienced and wonderful people who help take them through the process. Everything from training them to helping them get through the fingerprinting approval and so forth, so that they can serve youth. So that foster care program, once a family has been approved and once they're ready to serve youth, then we're working to try to place someone in their home that would be a good fit for them. So, and that's a conversation we have with families. Another fear that families might have is, well, what happens if you just, drop someone in my home that I'm not ready or equipped to care for? And so we assure them that, hey, that's not how it works. When we have someone that, say we have an 8-year-old boy that we think would be a good fit for your home, we're going to have those conversations with you. Hey, this is kind of the behaviors and the background that he has. We think you'd be a great family, because we want to see it be successful. And so, we work really hard to kind of coordinate with the family to make sure it's a youth that they feel like they can serve. And something that we really try to tell families is our work doesn't exist without them. So if there's someone who's watching that has ever considered becoming a foster parent, it's a really big decision, but we would love to talk to them, because we have no ability to serve kids without families who are willing to be their caretaker and to provide a home for them. Everything else that we do is already assuming that exists. So we treat families as our partners, and we really look to come in and say, listen, we're not the experts. You're the parents, so you're the experts, but here's our knowledge, here's our support, here's what we can offer you. So I think
Great.
I answered your question, but I'm not
sure. Yes. No, you
Okay.
you definitely
Okay.
did. And it's great to hear that there are these families out there that are willing to open up their hearts and their homes, to these foster children and foster youth. So I do have a question about eligibility. Can you share a little bit about, what does it take for a family to be eligible?
Yeah. So as I said, it doesn't have to be a 2-parent family. It can be a 1-parent family. It can be a 2-parent family. It doesn't. Those are certainly all scenarios are something that we're open to and want to work with. We work with families that are single parent or dual parent families, and both of them have their strengths and both of them have their challenges. Things that we hear a lot of. What if the parents work outside the home? Is that still something that do you need a stay-at-home parent? And we certainly don't. There are ways we can work with that. So in terms of eligibility, it really comes down to some pretty clear things. First of all, you have to have room in your home for a child, and that means things like no more than 2 kids in a bedroom, for example. There has to be adequate bedroom space for a child. And then the other kind of big factor that we can't work around is if someone has a criminal record. There are some things that we can work with. We have families that come to us all the time that in their past they might have had a DUI or something like that certainly can be worked with. There are some criminal records that can't be worked with, and so we can help them evaluate that and decide if they can be a foster parent given that background. But really everything else is something that we can help support them. I mean, they don't have to live in a particular neighborhood. They don't have to live in a particular type of house. They can be in an apartment. They can be, wherever a family can be found we can work with them. So I would encourage a family not to disqualify themselves before talking to us. So
Thank you. Thanks for
and
sharing a
and
little
I
bit about that. Oh yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
and I should say something too that maybe is a misconception about foster care is that there is financial support available for those families. So when a family takes a child into care, there is financial support to help them care for the needs of that child. Everything from the medical expenses to living expenses. It's something that there is financial support available, and the process of becoming a foster parent does not cost a family anything. We bear
Wow.
those costs for them, so they
Wow.
don't have to pay for those.
That's amazing to know that there is, financial assistance, and also that they don't actually have to take on any costs to go through the foster process themselves.
Correct.
Thank you. Yeah. And I love that you're able to help kind of train or educate the family on, the child that they might be receiving, and helping them to prepare a little bit more for having
Right.
them,
Right.
join their
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, now let's shift gears. Let's talk about your transitional housing program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So our transitional housing program goes right in line with our foster care program, and it goes back to what I was saying about when you have one program that doesn't serve everyone and doesn't meet all the needs. Excuse me. So we experienced a problem a few years ago when we realized that we had kids that were exiting our foster care program, and they were just going out into just the unknown.
Hmm.
They would end up in a friend's house on a couch. They would end up, maybe back with a biological family member that wasn't an ideal situation. And so we went through the process of going to the state and becoming licensed as what's called a transitional housing provider, which means that we can continue to serve youth who are in that 18 to 21 age bracket when maybe they don't want to be with a family anymore. They can stay if they choose
Hmm.
to, but most of them choose not to because they're ready to start their life and they're ready to develop some independence. And so we now are able to serve those youth without the family involved. So we have apartments that we've leased. We have a triplex that is agency owned. We have basically these independent living situations where the youth lives with a roommate, another youth in the program, and they receive support from us, from our staff on those independent tasks. So everything like finding a job, getting a driver's license, opening their bank account, learning to shop for groceries, doing their laundry, doing their taxes, all of those things that we all have to learn, that some of us learn and some of us don't, as we become adults. And so that's a program that we really we're excited about, because it really helps youth get that start to adulthood, but still having a safety net, so they're not thrown out. I mean, they're living in this apartment, they're receiving support from us, they're learning, kind of working, flexing the muscle of paying some bills, but we're there to support them, and we're paying other bills, so it's not them just out there on their own. And really the goal of that program is to get them ready for 21 when they exit, so we don't just provide housing for 3 more years, because then we would have all those same problems we had at 18, but we're now having them at 21. So we're working through all of the things that they need to do to be independent at 21. So our goal is to get them ready to maybe take over the lease of the apartment at 21,
Wow,
or
nice.
move out to to a new place or something, start their career, something like that. So um, and part of that program, we have partnered with the Housing Authority of San Joaquin. They're doing a conversion of a big project on March Lane and I-5 called Calaveras Quarters. It's the old Motel 6 site. That is something that is a kind of a partnership of state funding, city funding, to renovate that project to provide housing for youth, and we're a part of that. And so we'll have units in that space where our youth will be able to live, and that will definitely be a benefit to our agency because it will help reduce our costs for this program. We get funding for the program, but our funding is fixed, and it has been fixed for a while. Meanwhile, housing costs have skyrocketed.
Yes.
When we started this, even just 4 years ago, we were able to get a 2-bedroom apartment in Stockton in a decent neighborhood, decent complex. And we could get it for $1,200 a month. And now we're looking at $2,000 a month for those apartments. And so it's a significant increase that this partnership with the Housing Authority will really help us reduce our costs and be able to serve those youth better.
Very interesting. And I love that you're helping, people once they're 18 and they're aging out of like the traditional care that is available to them. I have a couple questions about this transitional program. One, are the youth usually from your foster families that you've already had? Like you're kind of getting them ready. You're like, okay, they're about to turn 18. Would you like to enter this program? Or can they come from other foster programs?
We have youth from both. So we have youth that we have served from when they were younger, and then we also have youth who come to us from other programs. So there's not a requirement that they had to have been with us when they turned 18. There are some eligibility requirements for those youth that are established by the state or the county. And so some of the state requirements are that they had an open foster care case when they turned 18. So they couldn't have been, say, adopted or gone into guardianship prior to 18. They had to have an open foster care case, and then they can transfer. But it's something that if there is a youth or someone's working with a youth that they have questions about, they can call us, and we can find out about their eligibility. So, but yeah, they can come from anywhere. So
I love that. And during the program, are they usually working, like getting a little bit of job training, or are they going to school, or maybe both?
they are, and that's part of the requirements of being in the program is they have to either be going to school part-time or they have to be working part-time. And again, back to my previous comment of bumping up against problems that we couldn't solve. One of the problems that we really had a hard time solving was their jobs, because again, we're working with youth who have experienced trauma. So that makes it hard to be that consistent employee that shows up, every morning and does because there is so much turmoil in their lives that it requires an employer who's sensitive to what they've experienced and who kind of can help coach them and help them, learn to be a good employee. And so we really struggled in finding jobs for our youth. And so we decided to create our own. So anyone who's been downtown, especially to our building in the Courthouse Plaza, know that we've created small businesses there in that building, which was really one of the reasons why I was so excited about moving into that building, because it's it was designed as an indoor mall that has office space on the top floor where all of our agency services are. And then the ground floor is all of these retail spaces that over the last almost 3 years that we've been there, we've created a coffee shop, we've created retail places, we have a kitchen that's now open that's serving breakfast and lunch, we have an arcade. So we have all of these places that are designed really just to provide jobs for youth. We could have filled them with tenants and rented them out to different people who wanted space, but we really had a dream and a vision of a vibrant place where a young person could work and get their first job in a trauma-informed environment where they have someone who understands them, who doesn't necessarily go easy on them, but who walks with them and coaches them and helps them get to where they need to be. So that's been exciting. Again, that ties into being downtown and creating those opportunities for youth there.
Yes, it's such a great building. If you haven't been downtown to check it out yet, I definitely recommend heading in, having something from Plaza Perks if you're looking for a little cafe.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's great because it's supporting these youth that are transitioning. They're getting this job training. So I love that you've been able to do that, Tony. I have to say that I love to
Well,
hear
thank
about
you.
that.
And I should say that it started as being jobs for our youth in foster care, and it's grown now. We have a lot of youth who are working there that aren't necessarily a foster youth or don't have
Oh,
a
wow.
foster care background, but they're youth who came through another door. We have a grant. We have grant funding from the city of Stockton to provide jobs for youth who maybe are hard to employ. They've never had a job before. Maybe they didn't graduate from high school, and so they meet certain criteria. Come from a low income background. So it was kind of like we learned about providing jobs for youth in foster care, and from that we've been able to bring in a group of young people who maybe don't have the foster care background but still need support in getting their first job and starting their career. And so we have a whole mix of young adults that are working in our space, and it's really exciting.
I love that. I just love you're able to support youth, from 18 to 21. That is, I'm sure it's scary to leave foster care and to not have support, and this kind of gives
Yeah.
you the support they need. So very awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. So now, can we talk about your positive parenting program? A little bit of a different
Yes.
direction.
Yes. So our positive parenting program is a program that was designed to really prevent youth from going into foster care. So it's a program that's funded by San Joaquin County Behavioral Health Services, and we use a parenting model that has been used all over the world. And we go into schools, churches, community centers, anywhere we can find parents, and we offer these parenting classes. And it's a 6-week series that a parent would join up with us, and it's at no cost to them whatsoever. One of the big questions we get a lot is, do you have to be a foster parent to do these classes? Because we're a foster agency and people see us as being foster care oriented. These classes are for anybody. So anyone in San Joaquin County is able to take these classes, and they're absolutely free. Our team is amazing. They offer the classes in both English and Spanish. During the pandemic, they were able to adapt and offer the classes via Zoom for parents who weren't able to come and attend in person. And so we have just literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of families that go through these classes every year. And it's a great opportunity. Research says that parents do a better job of parenting when they feel confident in their parenting skills and they have knowledge to handle even just the little problems that come up. Just a little bit of skills and confidence can make it just a 360-degree change for a parent who may be struggling or has maybe some concerns about their child. So we have a lot of parents who are new. Maybe they have their first toddler and they're kind of learning that. We also have a lot of parents who are coming back and they're saying, hey, I'm a grandparent, but now I'm parenting my grandchild, and I'm having to learn how to be a parent all over again. And so it's a really interesting mix of folks who take advantage of these classes, and it's completely free. They can find out more information on our website.
Thank you. And it looks like, is the next series of classes starting in June?
Yes, I don't have the exact date here in my head, but it is happening in June. Those are available on our website, and parents can even sign up there on the website as well to take those classes. So,
do you have capacity left for the upcoming program?
Absolutely.
If anyone's interested?
Yes, we do.
Awesome.
We sure do.
Awesome. Yeah, and it looks like we've got the dates scrolling there at the bottom. So it looks like maybe June 1st. So if you're interested in taking any of the positive parenting classes, sign up, check it out. Okay. Thank you so much, Tony. And now I kind of want to ask, what is the most common question that you get about foster care or foster youth, and how would you answer that question?
The most common question, I think, I have to think about that for a minute, but I think, a lot of parents who are interested. I mean, a lot of questions we get are just kind of on what we've talked about with, could I qualify as a foster parent? And in most cases, it's yes, let's talk about it because we think you can. The question that we get from prospective foster parents who maybe have already answered that question is going to be on like the behaviors of the youth. What kind of experience can we expect? and so, we do a lot of educating with parents around what we see in youth today. It's a different answer today than it was 2 years ago or
Oh,
5 years
wow.
ago, because the needs of youth definitely change, and what we see is a lot of challenges, and I mean, we have a lot of young people that are coming to us today with um, you know new and not so exciting problems.
Mm.
It's just the state of youth, I think, in the world. My oldest is 24 years old. My youngest is 10. So my 10-year-old is experiencing different things than my 24-year-old did. So it is the state of the world. But we help them with that. We do a lot of training around what to expect, and helping them with behaviors. And then once the youth is placed with them, we're right there with them. So it's not like, hey, here's your child, good luck, but we're literally right there to support them and to be available for their calls. So yeah.
You offer support, ongoing
Y-
support throughout the process.
yes, yes, and something worth also talking about is we are fairly unique in our county for the services, the kind of the breadth of services that we offer to youth. And this is one of the things we talk about when a family is talking about, should they become a foster parent. We have not only their social work team that helps them with kind of the day-to-day living, and negotiating those problems that they might face in their home, but we also have another team of clinicians in our mental health department that provide that clinical mental health support to the youth, and
Wow.
adjunctly also to the parent. So our mental health clinicians are not just seeing the youth and leaving the parent out of the conversation, but they're coaching the parent as well as providing these clinical services to youth. Because again, when one thing that is universal about youth in foster care is they've all experienced trauma, and a great deal of them do need mental health support. And so we have a team of professionals that also provide mental health services to our youth in foster care. So,
That's amazing as well. Just knowing that this is available, hey, maybe if you need to talk to someone as the parent, you're feeling overwhelmed, you're stressed, you're not sure, how to
absolutely,
handle certain situations, there's support for you and support for the youth as well. I love that.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So, if you had to kind of estimate how many youth are you able to help annually through your programs?
So, if we're talking specifically about foster care and transitional housing, we're serving approximately 200 to 250 youth a year in our programs, and
Awesome.
that doesn't seem like a huge number because we are limited by the capacity of the families that we serve, and we try not to have a lot of turnover where we take a youth in and say, oh no, we can't serve them and we have to send them out. So we try to grab and hold youth in our programs and support the families as they go through that. So approximately 200, 250 in those programs. We have others. We have approximately 1,200 parents that go through our positive parenting program every year. And so when you look at, the youth that they have in their homes, they'll have anywhere from, 1 to 7 kids in their homes. So, that you have to kind of do your own math on that, but it's a very large number of youth that are impacted by our programs. So we have our employment program with jobs. Right now we have 15 youth that are working in our building, and they work in cohorts. We have them come in every 3 months. They work, and then we transition them to more permanent employment. We have another 15 come in, so we have a pretty large number that we serve there in that way as well.
Wow. So you really are touching a lot of youth and a lot of families. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Are there any specific success stories that you could share that might highlight the impact of the work of your organization for families, for youth?
Yeah. I mean, there are so many success stories. There are
Yeah.
success stories that go out in all different directions. We have success stories of parents who bring a child into their home and care for them while the biological family receives services and supports. And then our foster parent um, reconnects that child back to their biological
Wow.
family. That's a
Wow.
success.
Yeah.
Um, we have other successes where a family will become a permanent family for the child in their care, and they're able to adopt them, and they become um, a full and permanent member of the family. That's another
Wow.
success. It's a different
Yes.
success, but it's another success. And then we have youth who are in our transitional housing program that um, you know just are rock stars, and they go out and just do amazing things with their lives, and we're just all kind of left just amazed at what they've done. So that's another success story. So it's really interesting because success looks so different in each case. One, you have a youth who or child who went back to their biological family. Another one, you have a child who became adopted. And the third one is you have a child who did neither one, but they grew up and went out into the adult world and were a success. And so success is such an interesting thing that isn't defined in any particular way. But it's it's really it's really amazing to watch those stories and to see them happen around us, and all three of those scenarios that I'm thinking about that actually have happened, and I have names with each one of those successes. It only happened because we had an amazing group of staff that were supporting each one of those situations and helping them accomplish what they needed to. Whether you have, I mean, we have social work staff who have gotten an emergency call on the weekend and who ended up spending the night at the hospital with a family
Wow.
who needed them, or who is just, I mean, they're there to listen daytime, nighttime, anytime to the family's concerns or challenges, or a staff in our transitional housing program who supports a youth to the extent that they've actually driven them hundreds of miles to their final destination after they've left our program. Someone who's entering
Wow.
college or moving to another state, and our staff has really gone above and beyond to help that youth accomplish their success in life. So it's really, really remarkable to see. We have a we have an agency value that that is a statement that's just says whatever it takes,
Hmm.
and that's something that is embodied by our staff at every level of our organization, where when again you come up against a problem and you start doing that, well, what's it going to take, how are we going to solve this, and just really just the commitment that it takes to accomplish that mission of just, hey, whatever it takes. And so it's something from me as a leader to folks on the very front end. If we all have that mentality, it's amazing what the organization can accomplish. And that's where not only have we been able to grow in the programs that we've now offered, but we also grow in the amount of support we're providing to youth and families that we're serving. So yeah, I don't know if that answered. Again, I always come to the end of my thing. I'm not sure if that answered your question, but I said
It
words. So
it did. You sound just so dedicated and committed to improving the lives of the parents or the foster youth, foster children, just committed to improving lives. That's what
yeah.
I'm hearing. I
Well,
love it.
so Courtney, you were at the Main Street Market last night.
That's right.
Here's a little bit of a conversation I had with someone, and that goes into this topic. When you say being dedicated to improve lives, so our agency hosts the Main Street Market in partnership with the Downtown Stockton Alliance, and that's where we just close down the streets of downtown, and we have vendors, and we have music and food, and it's just it's a neat experience to have people out walking the streets of downtown and enjoying themselves, listening to the music, eating great food, and just smiling on their having a smile on their face. It's great to reintroduce people to downtown. And we as an organization, we do that because we love being good downtown neighbors. We want to bring people downtown. We want them to experience it. And, we would like to be a small part of the revitalization of downtown. And so I'm standing there at the entrance. I'm letting vendors in last night, and I had just some passerby wander up to me and ask me what we were doing. And so I explained, and he said, "So you're doing all of this?" And I said, "Yeah." And he just looked at me and he said, "Do you think this is going to make any difference at all?"
Oh no.
And my first
You're like,
thought
yes, I
was,
do.
yeah, my first thought was, well, thanks a lot for the encouragement, but I'm that you could say that about anything. If you're picking up trash in your neighborhood or you're trying to help a child to learn to read, you could ask that question: is this going to make any difference at all? And the truth of the matter is, if we all did a little something, it would make a difference. And so I told him the honest truth. I said, I have no idea, but we're going to keep trying. We're going to keep trying. So, yeah. So when you asked me that last question, it just made me think of that conversation last night.
We're gonna, build it one little grain of sand at a time, doing
One step
everything
at
that
a
we
time.
can, each of us.
That's right.
So, shifting to downtown in a little way, can you tell us about the building? So you told us a little bit about how you kind of incorporated youth vocational training into the revitalization of 306 Main Street. But can you tell us about, why did you choose to come downtown to buy the Courthouse Plaza building? And what is like some of the revitalization efforts that you've been putting into it, including the Main Street Market?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It goes back to our problem was we were out of space. We were in North Stockton, Quail Lakes, and March Lane area, and we had an office suite there that we had run out of space, and we needed more space. Our lease was expiring, and so I was kind of doing that whole, okay, what do we do? Where do we go? And just began looking for more space, first of all, and secondly, space that might provide just new opportunities for us. And the Courthouse Plaza is a building that I was familiar with from working downtown, and I've walked through it dozens and dozens of times. And the building was originally an old department store. For people who've been downtown, they know this, but just in case someone hasn't been downtown,
Yeah.
it was an old department store. It was the Smith and Lang department store back in the day. It goes back to the late 1800s. It famously burned in the 1950s and was rebuilt again as a department store. And then eventually, when all the department stores moved out and went to the mall, this was converted into kind of an indoor mall itself, where it has offices on the top floor. It had all these retail spaces on the ground floor, and then meeting space on the lowest level. And so I've always been fascinated by this building. I always thought it was beautiful, very underutilized. It was
Yes.
empty most of the time. And so you'd walk through, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. You'd walk through and go, wow, this is really beautiful space, but it's just completely unused and a little sad. And so I happened to see the building for sale on Craigslist of all places. And so it just kind of sparked a little bit of a conversation. I remember it was Christmas of 2019, January of 2020, when I started talking to real estate brokers and started doing the math on, hey, could we afford this? It's a big space. We went from like 8,000 square feet where we were to 70,000 square feet for this space. And so it became a conversation that the more it went, and we did due diligence for 5 or 6 months on the building, just walking it with every conceivable expert to see if we were going to get into something that was going to be horrible and terrible and would ruin our lives. And really, we just kind of felt more and more confident that this was going to be a great place for our agency, and just the opportunities it provided for us in terms of retail space and the ability to have jobs for youth and the ability to really interact with the community in ways that we never have before. we were always just in an office park. And so now when you're in this building, it's a big public place where we have people walk through it all the time. And we have hundreds of people that come through the building every day that get to interact with our staff and to learn about our agency that never would have known before. And so it's been an amazing experience that frankly I wasn't really aware of how big of a change it would bring to our agency and how much people would become more aware of us because of this move downtown and because of this building. And so it's really, the building has become kind of a bit of just a snapshot of who we are as an agency, because everything you see in the building are things that we've done. And we hope that, one of the things that we do, we have an amazing building manager who keeps our facilities looking nice. And it's really something we talk a lot about, the way that people feel about our space when they come in is gonna say something about how we as an agency are perceived by the community as well. And so it's been amazing, and we've put a lot of effort into improving. We had a lot of maintenance that needed to be done, a lot of things that needed to be fixed, from the plumbing to the heating and air conditioning system to the electrical. I mean, there was just a lot of things that needed to be upgraded. But we came into a building that was empty in 2020, and in short order, it's full. And it's been full for a while, and that's with our space, with tenant space. And it's really it's a beautiful building, and we've been able to do that a lot with some help. Like we're excited about, we're getting some new signs on the outside that are really going to tell more of the story of what's going on inside, because we have people that come in all the time and go, I didn't know all this was here. And so we applied through the DSA and the city of Stockton for the facade improvement program, and we're going to have some new signs on the outside that are going to really tell more of the story of what's going on inside. And so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, it looks so beautiful since your organization has taken it over. Again, if anyone hasn't been to 306 East Main Street in the last couple of years, check it out, because it looks just beautiful and clean on the inside. It looks awesome. And there's also an underground arcade. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I kind of have the mentality of like a casino. When you walk into our building, you don't ever have to leave, because we have food, we have entertainment, we have shopping, we have all of that right there. So it's like a mini family friendly casino. The arcade is on the lowest level, and really we have had, because of my background, I was raised in the, come of age in the 80s and 90s, and so it's the arcade, the mall arcades, or the pizza parlor arcades. That was just a part of my youth growing up. And we've always had arcade games in our offices. I mean, from the very beginning, we had a little arcade game. And so so this kind of grew. And the reason why we had arcade games is because we wanted a place where kids could feel welcome, and so we started this arcade in the lowest level of the building as kind of our own space, where kids, when they came for a therapy appointment or a visit with their biological family or something, could play these arcade games with their parent as a way to connect with their parents. So you'd see, a dad who hasn't seen his son in a while, and they're playing a racing game side by side, and they're talking and interacting, and it's breaking the ice for them, and it's just really a cool thing to see. And so from that, it kind of grew, as things usually do. And I'm dragging in more and more arcade games that, I've scraped the internet to find. And so, people tease me all the time whenever they see me rolling in a new arcade game on a dolly. It's just like, okay, Tony, here you go. Here's another one. But what it became, and maybe this is my way of justifying all the arcade games, is it became another opportunity for us to provide jobs for youth. Because now the arcade is open Monday through Friday, and it's all free play. So people can come in and play, no quarters required. And it's also used as rental space for birthday parties. And we do that Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. And we have had just incredible interest in this space. We've had so many rentals. I mean, I can't even count how many rentals we've had. We just started renting it out in July, and I think we're approaching like 200 rentals in that time.
Wow.
Where people, I mean, it's something that people really love, the fact that you can come. It's your own private arcade. Your friends are there. There's tables for your food. We have a big Nerf zone in one room that's inflatables, and we provide all the Nerf equipment. And so it's got LED lighting and smoke machines and the whole thing for kids to play Nerf. And so it just really becomes this cool family friendly space that we just kind of stumbled into and didn't really know what we were doing, but in the process created a space that there isn't anything like it anywhere around. We have people come from Sacramento and say, we don't have anything like this in our city.
Wow.
And so it kind of makes me proud as a mostly lifelong Stocktonian that we have something that other people envy. And so it's something we've tried to keep it affordable for families to be able to rent. And now with the opening of our kitchen on the ground floor, we now are serving pizza in the arcade and all of that. So it's really kind of a one-stop party shop that is just a lot of fun. It has its own website, theundergroundarcade.com, and it's just a fun space. Yeah.
It's very cool. And I love that they can rent it out, but still the games are free. That's different
Yeah.
than,
Yeah.
years ago where you had to also pay for the
Pay the
coins, to
quarters
play
as
in the
well.
machines. Right.
Right.
Very
Right.
cool.
And, and there are other arcades in town. There are the kind of the chain places that have the really nice games that cost tens of thousands of dollars each. And so I try to tell families, like, look, these are older games. These are, more retro games. They're games that maybe those arcades are done with, so people like us can get them. So it's not going to be the latest games or the coolest games necessarily, but it is your own private arcade. So you're not having to fight with other kids that are there. I mean, it's just you and your friends, and you're enjoying the games yourself. So we've tried to stay away because of what we do. We've tried to stay away from shooting games and things that are just horribly violent, and tried to make it more family friendly and fun. And again, one of the coolest experiences I have is being down there in the arcade space and watching a little kid come down the stairs and seeing the look on their face as they're coming into the arcade,
What?
because it really sends them a message, right? It tells them, like, you were important enough for us to do this for you, and that's the message that we want them to think, is that this was for you, and we did this for you because you matter. So
Very cool. So you've grown this building, you've turned it around. It's not just an office location. It's got
right,
retail, it has an arcade, it has a kitchen now. And
right.
now you have the Main Street Market. So tell us a little bit more. I know last year was the first year that you kind of did the Main Street Market event series, and now it's back on. So tell us a little bit about the impetus behind it and what people can expect.
Yeah, and really the purpose behind the Main Street Market was to reintroduce people to downtown, in the hopes that they'll come and they'll say, hey, this is a great place. Look at, this is a nice spot. Walk into our building and see what's happening there. So we did have kind of that desire of, let's get people back to our neighborhood. Let's get them into our building so they can see what's happening. And so the Main Street Market, we started last year with just one block of Main Street from Sutter to San Joaquin, right in front of our building. And we had vendors and food and so forth. And it was great. We did 4 of those last summer, and it was great. This year, we've come back bigger and better than ever. We now have 2 blocks of Main Street going all the way past San Joaquin, all the way to the Bob Hope Fox Theater. And then we're also taking in 2 blocks of San Joaquin Street, going from Market all the way to Weber. And the reason why we're doing that is because of our partnership with the DSA. And you guys have been great in bringing in the music. We have music under the Fox marquee now, which is really amazing. It really brings a whole different experience to the market. So people come to the Main Street Market. They're able to walk the streets and see all the food that's there, the craft vendors that are there, just all the things, the businesses around that. We've encouraged them to stay open during the market. So I know we have a lot of businesses that are participating and that are remaining open for the Main Street Market. and of course our building is all open for the market. So it's really just a very unique experience for people just to be able to walk around in downtown, and experience this. The music has been amazing because it's it's drawn people and it's kind of helped them to stay and to sit and listen. The artists have been great. There's tables and chairs set up where you can go get your giant loaded baked potato or a quesadilla, or some kind of dessert pastry or something, and you come back and you sit at a table and you eat and you enjoy the music. And it's just a really neat experience. And really it's all about just connecting downtown with our community and helping people see what's going on. We had just a number of people last night at the market who walked inside the Courthouse Plaza and said, I didn't know all this was in here. So that's what we're looking for, is we're looking for those people. Or our first week that we did the Main Street Market this year, one of the vendors told me, he said, this is my second time ever to be downtown Stockton.
Oh, wow.
He said, I've lived in Stockton all my life. And I said, well, you need to come more often, because look at this. This is beautiful. Look at the architecture. It's just amazing. So that's what we're going for, is we're really going for people who love downtown, maybe haven't been in a while, and just welcoming them back. So we're glad to have partnerships with the DSA this year, and also with the city of Stockton, who is helping us by sponsoring the street closure costs and making it possible for us to do this on this scale. So it's been fantastic.
Yeah, it's an open house for parents by choice, but also an open house kind of for downtown, showing off what's going on here. I love it.
It is. So, and I should say our next one is going to be June 13th. So it's a Tuesday. We're doing it on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. And we're going from 4:30 in the afternoon to 8 in the evening. So just hopefully the folks who are watching or listening can come by at our next one.
Definitely come on down, get the live music, have some food, check out some local vendors, and learn more about the Courthouse Plaza building and what's been going on there.
Absolutely.
And so I have a couple questions for you about downtown Stockton specifically. What do you love about being located in downtown, first of all?
I love being kind of right in the hub of where everything is happening in Stockton. I love that. I love the fact that we can, we see visitors who are coming from city government, county government, everything from the sheriff walking through, coming back from the courthouse, to a city council member, or just, all the employees. There's a lot of employees who work downtown, city, county, other nonprofit organizations. There's a lot of employees downtown, and it's very pedestrian friendly. So people aren't in their cars and you miss them, they're all walking around. So you see people, and being able to talk with folks. And I've really enjoyed the kind of the pedestrian friendly community that we have downtown. And everyone has been so supportive of us. Like I said, being downtown has really raised our agency profile in the eyes of the community. And it's just been really wonderful to be embraced by the folks that we've met down there.
And we are happy to have you, and to have you as partners.
Thank
definitely. You. Do you have a downtown go-to lunch spot that you visit most often?
So if I'm pressed for time, I like to pop over to Alfalfa's on Weber or Papa Herbs. Those are some of my favorites. If I have time to sit and eat, it's hard to beat Yasuyani's. I know the Downtowner recently closed. They were one of my favorites. And then I also, because they're right next door to us, how can you not love Xochimilco's with their however many decades of existence in downtown? So there's a lot of things like that. And and I love walking over to the waterfront warehouse as well, and seeing the businesses there. So there's almost too many to list, I guess.
A lot of options, a lot of favorites. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Yes, I was just at Alfalfa's yesterday, so I agree with you. Yeah. Okay, so it's great to hear about everything you're doing downtown. And I just have a couple last questions before we're going to move
Sure.
into the audience questions. So if there is any kind of advice that you would give to someone who's considering becoming a foster parent or considering adopting, what would that advice look like?
My first and biggest piece would be to pick up the phone and call us or shoot us an email. We would be happy to. Don't assume an answer to a question that you haven't asked us about. We would love to help you, and you might be surprised at the answer. So reach out. That would be my biggest piece of advice. Yeah.
Okay, communicate, ask those
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that you would like viewers to take away from this conversation that we've had today, what would that be?
I would like them to come away with the knowledge that, first of all, that we exist. Thank you for watching, and hopefully you learned something about us, and just kind of the vision and the passion that we have for downtown and for youth in our community. And we would love for people, if they have a similar passion or if they have a similar heart for either of those two, either downtown or youth and families, we would love to talk to them about how could you get involved? Would you like to be a volunteer? Would you like to be a foster parent? Is there something that that you think that we should be involved in? And you reach out to us. We would love to talk to you. So I think just knowing that we're an agency that was founded in Stockton. We're committed to Stockton. We're committed to making Stockton a better place, and we love what we do. We're passionate, and it's a great group of people that I work with. They're amazing, and we're here for the long haul.
I love that. Do you have positions available right now or volunteer opportunities available?
We do. We always have volunteer opportunities available. We would love to talk to anyone who is interested and has some time that they would like to spend. And we do have some staff positions available. I know some of them require specific education, like we have. We're looking for social workers that require a degree, and then also clinicians. We have some positions available for both of those. So it's something that we would love to talk to people. We post our jobs. Usually there's a link on our website that will take them to our page on Indeed, and that's usually where we have most of our jobs posted.
All right, thank you. So my last two questions: what do you love about the work that you do?
I love it because I think everyone needs to have a purpose in life. Everyone needs to have kind of that big challenge that you're striving for. I think about that, and I don't know if I would ever want to win the lottery, because that might take some of that striving away, right? It usually doesn't work out too well for people. We all need something to strive for, and for me, it's just amazing to be part of an organization that is always striving to solve issues and to support families and to support youth. And we don't always get it right. We don't always do exactly the perfect thing, and we learn from our mistakes and okay, that didn't work out, we won't do it that way. But that's part of the process, and I just love being part of a community of our staff and foster parents who are of that mind of like, let's figure this out, let's make this work, and just kind of having that fresh mentality of when we hit a problem, we believe that with enough time and energy, we can solve just about anything. So
I love it. All about solving problems, helping, dedication,
absolutely.
and striving for the best. I love
Right.
that. It's beautiful.
Right.
Okay, so if anyone has any questions or would like to know anything more about what you've talked about today, Tony, how can they get in touch with you?
So they can go to our website, which is parentsbychoice.net. They can fill out a contact form that will come to us depending on the department they're looking for or the topic or the question that they have. We'd be happy to talk to them about it. They can stop by the Courthouse Plaza and chat with us. We're there every day. They're welcome to come in and talk with us, and we'd love to hear their thoughts and to see how we can connect with them. So we're not hard to find. We're there every day, so the doors are open.
Thank you. Okay, so I want to say just a huge thank you, Tony, to you and your organization for the work that you do for families and youth in our community. It was really beautiful hearing about
Thank you.
all of the programs you have available, and it's just awesome. I'm so happy that you're a part of downtown Stockton.
Oh, thank you.
Um, yes, and now let's go ahead and transition to audience questions. Are you ready, Tony?
Sure, I'm
Feel
ready.
ready? Okay.
I'm ready.
So let's see if we've got any audience questions. Looks like we've got a couple comments. This one's from Melanin Waves on Instagram. They say amazing support resources. So, kind of a shout out to you, Tony. We have another comment here from Zalia on Instagram saying, love this. Let's go Stockton. I love
I
that.
agree.
Thank you both
Yeah.
for your comments, right? Okay. And let's see. All right, we've got a couple of questions on Facebook. This is from Stephanie Iachino. So this sounds familiar.
Yeah.
So the question is, I'll show the first part. Do you have a favorite memory of when you or the agency has helped a youth?
So, I talked about a few of those earlier. I think, probably my favorite memory recently is we talked about our transitional housing program. We had a youth who worked in our coffee shop, but she turned 21 and was looking to move. She had a plan to move to Canada, and not like Vancouver, British Columbia, but the other way. And I'm not good on my Canadian geography, but it's like the Canada that's above Michigan. It sounds
Oh,
terrible, but
wow.
and our staff, we had a staff member, Andrea Rodriguez, who drove her from Stockton to Michigan,
Wow.
so that she could transition to Canada. And it was just amazing to see the commitment from that staff member to drive that young person all the way to their destination. And it just is remarkable at the commitment level that took to do that, and it's something I think that we were all proud of at that time. So yeah.
That's a huge
Yeah,
journey.
yeah. And good thing I wasn't driving, because I didn't even know where you were. Like I'm saying, it's the Canada above Michigan. I don't know, but yeah. So
That's a great
yeah,
story, and it really
yeah,
highlights your dedication that you've been talking about,
yeah.
commitment, dedication, whatever it takes.
Absolutely,
Love that.
absolutely.
Thank you for your question. Okay. This question is going to be from Michael Huber. So, part of it I think you've talked about, but there might be something you can add. He says, hi, Tony. Please tell us about some of the improvements you've done at the Courthouse Plaza and the new retail tenants that you have there that weren't there before. So I know you've talked about the improvements, but maybe you can talk more about the retail
The
tenants.
tenants. Absolutely. And one of the things that's really exciting is to see the businesses that move downtown, or maybe move to Stockton to be downtown, that we have. We have Makers Made, who is they're a consignment kind of gift shop of local vendors who are all in that Makers Made umbrella. And the owners of that moved to Stockton from Alameda because they had a dream of starting a business and felt like this was the best place to do that. And so they're located in our building and have been there for about a year and a half, which is amazing. Besides what we have done, there's other retailers. We have the Mocha Hair Salon, we have the Bagel Cafe, we have Martinez Taylor that is there. We have, one of the things I dreamed about, having retail in that building, which is difficult. There's not a lot of retail downtown. And so I actually just made a cold call to one of my favorite antique stores in downtown Lodi, Secondhand Rose. And I asked them, they didn't know me from anyone. I did, and I just said, you don't know me, but I have a question for you. Have you ever thought about opening a second location in downtown Stockton? And when I started talking to them about, serving youth and having youth be their employees, and we would handle the staffing, they wouldn't have to, they got really excited about that and decided this was a mission that they wanted to be part of. And so last October, Secondhand Rose opened in our building. And so we have them as a antique store and vintage store that's there in our building, which is really cool. So they're still in downtown Lodi, but now they're also in downtown Stockton. And they've just been an amazing support to us in a variety of ways, even with our own gift shop that we opened, Main Street Gifts. The Secondhand Rose folks have been great in helping us, consulting with us as the retail experts, because we're not. So they've just been amazing. So yeah, it's really neat to see how people are attracted when things start happening. You get people who want to be part of it, and we've had a lot of those kinds of experiences with us in our building. So we have lots of retail and food in our building, and really have no open spaces right now. So it's great. I mean, it's great to be full. It's great.
I love that. A full house
A
and
full house.
plenty of
Right.
things to see.
Right. Right.
Okay, we've got a couple more questions. This is another question coming from Michael Huber. He's asking to hear a little bit more about the March Lane project that you're doing with the Housing Authority. I know you kind of touched on it earlier. Is there anything else you might want to add?
Yeah, the only thing, it's a project that we're excited about being a part of. It's something, as I mentioned, it's part of a state-funded program called Home Key that the city of Stockton also made an investment into. The Housing Authority is the developer of the project, and we're going to be one of the partners to place our youth in those apartments and support them and help them as they get a start in life. It's a project that has been in the works for almost a year now, and it probably has about that much longer to completion. And so it's a long-term goal for us, but it will really help us be able to reduce our costs for the units that we have our youth live in, and at the same time, it'll allow us to serve more youth. So I'm really excited about that. I really appreciate Peter Ragsdale, who's the executive director of the Housing Authority, for believing in youth and allowing this to be a youth-focused project. So it's exciting, and it's going to be something that I think is going to be a model of what can be done in other areas of the state as well. And so it's exciting to have this happening in Stockton.
Yeah, I love that it's helping with that transitional youth program you guys have going on.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael Huber, for your questions. Okay, here's a question from Violetta Meza. She's asking, are there any specific items that the community can give to kids? Do you take any kind of clothing donations?
Well, we thank you for the question and thank you for the interest. We do a lot of toy drives at Christmas time, and we use the toys that we don't give out at Christmas. So sometimes we get a surplus of toys. We use those throughout the year for birthdays as well. So we appreciate the community support of those things. We have not typically done used clothing. New clothing we certainly do at Christmas time because we have sizes that we get from the kids, and we try to connect those. We generally don't do used clothing, just really because it takes so much to inventory and to organize, that we just haven't done it. We just haven't had the capacity to do that. So what we typically do is, like I said, the toy drives at Christmas time. We are always taking household items for our transition age youth, so that we can outfit and furnish their apartments. And then certainly if someone had another idea and they came to us and said, like we've had the Girl Scouts come to us and say, we want to do backpacks for back to school time. And so we organize that with them, and we say, okay, this is about what we would need. And so we've had some individual families that have come to us with, again, similar things that we've been able to organize. So if you had an idea, something that you would like to do to help youth, we could certainly talk to you about that to see how we could help make that happen.
Thank you. And thank you, Violetta, for your question. So it sounds like, get in touch with Parents by Choice and see what things you have available and see if there's something that you guys can work out together. All right. There's just a few more. Okay. This one is a comment from Johnny Palacios. He's saying, I think it's such a great thing how you help foster youth and young adults. What happens if a 21-year-old person is still maybe not stable or ready to kind of take on the world?
Yeah, thanks, Johnny. Thanks for the comment and the question. I think that the answer is going to vary depending on what is happening with that youth to keep them from being stable. There are there are youth who leave us and who go into other, maybe they're not ready to rent their own apartment or take over the apartment that they're in, and so they may go into another program, or they may go into some other kind of housing situation. There are other very limited programs that can take older youth. They're extremely limited in their capacity, but one of the things that our staff does is we don't ever let the 21st birthday catch us by surprise. We're working on it a year out, 6 months out, 3 months out, and we're helping them. And depending on what areas are the biggest need, if it's employment, if it's housing, if it's a mental health need, those are things that we're addressing, so that when, as we're approaching this, we're not surprised. The youth isn't surprised. It's honestly a process that starts back at 18. So it's something that we're doing all along the way. But it does happen from time to time that a youth isn't able to transition into their own housing, and so then we're looking at options, and we're talking about, okay, let's look at friends and family members that you could live with so that you could be safe and so forth. So it's just really all about addressing the individual needs of that youth and trying to get them to the best, most safe and stable situation that they can be in.
Thank you, Tony. And thank you, Johnny, for the question. So it sounds like there's a lot of planning going in the entire time,
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that
absolutely.
okay, they need a little bit of extra help to get them to a place that they need to be. I love that. That's beautiful. Okay, so there is a comment here from Michael Huber. He says, "Thank you, Tony, for your partnership with the DSA and the Main Street Makers Market with music under the marquee." A lot of M's.
That's
there.
a lot of M's. There's a lot of M's in that statement. Yeah, thank you, Mike, and thank you to the DSA for coordinating that music. It's really beautiful. The Main Street Markets having the music under the Fox marquee, and it's lit, which it isn't always. Usually it's just for a special performance and so forth. And so to have the marquee lit with the band underneath it is just really cool. It's cool for the band. It's cool for people watching. It just is just a really neat thing. And so we appreciate Mike and the DSA for coordinating all of that music. It's been, the first 2 nights have been amazing. So again, the next one is June 13th. Hopefully more folks can come down and experience the music and the food and all the shopping down there.
Come and enjoy it. Yeah. Okay. Here's the final question. And again, coming from Michael Huber.
Yeah, the most important question.
What is your favorite video game in the arcade on the lower floor?
If I'm playing by myself, I got to go with Pac-Man, the classic. It's hard to beat. It's fun. If I'm playing with somebody else, we've got a Captain America, kind of the old early 90s, mid 90s side scrolling, 2 guys fighting game. You get all the superheroes in there fighting the bad guys. That's a fun one. So probably those 2. Yeah, those are my favorite. Or if you want to make a lot of noise, we have air hockey, and air hockey makes
nice.
You hear it all over the building. So yeah, that's not usually my go-to though, but it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun when you have someone with you. I love air hockey. It's a flashback.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you, viewers, for your questions. And thank you so much, Tony, for answering them and for answering all of my questions. And so the last thing I would like to ask, is there anything else that you'd like to share before we close out, Tony?
Well, I feel like I've talked a lot. I've answered. It's taken me a long time to answer your questions. I'm very long-winded. It's just one of those things that when you're passionate about something, it's easy to just talk all day about it. And so if there's folks that have stayed with us through the whole thing, just thank you for your patience with my answers. I appreciate you, Courtney, for letting me come on and talk about Parents by Choice. We're we hope to be good neighbors of downtown, good partners, just the city at wide, and hopefully folks have seen this, go away with a little bit of hope of good things happening in our community with our children and youth and in our downtown community specifically. So thanks for letting us be part of this. Thanks for believing in us and for all the support that both the DSA and the community at large has given to Parents by Choice since we've been downtown. So thank you.
Of course. So thank you again, Tony, for all of the work that you do and for your staff. You have an amazing staff, like you mentioned earlier. So thank you all for your beautiful work. It's really important to families in our community and to downtown. It's really helping to revitalize this area. So we appreciate you. And I want to say thank you, Tony, for being our guest today, for taking the time out. Really happy to have you on. And thank you so much, viewers, for tuning in today. So I just have my little wrap up to do. So this video has been streaming live to Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, where we are at Downtown Stockton. We have also been streaming live to Twitter, where we are at Downtown STKN. So if you want to share this video, go ahead and do so on our YouTube channel. Share with anyone that you think might benefit or want to know about Parents by Choice. And with that, I just want to say thank you, everyone, and have a great day downtown.